Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! Maria stared at her own reflection, unrecognizable in the mirror's gaze. Her recent haircut, an impulsive bid for change, was an unfamiliar shadow above a stranger's face. Thumbing the coarse fabric of the jacket, she wondered if the purchases in her closet signified her sense of self, or were just a collection of items to shield her from the world's gaze. A crumpled shopping catalog in the corner of the room caught her eye. It depicted a woman in a vibrant yellow dress, a stark contrast to Maria's current attire. The model's carefree smile seemed to mock her, as if she embodied the life Maria had always wanted but could never attain. "What's that you've got there?" The sound of her roommate's voice made her jump, and she quickly kicked the catalog under her bed. "Oh, it's, nothing. Some nonsense the postman accidentally dropped off." Maria lied, her heart pounding in her chest. Her analytical psychology major eyes seemed to see straight through the lie. "Nothing, huh? That's why you've been staring at it for 20 minutes?" She crossed the room and plopped onto the bed. "Come on, Riley. We've been roommates for almost 2 years. I know when something's up." Riley sighed, shoulders slumping as the weight of pretending suddenly felt too heavy to carry. "It's stupid." "Try me." "I was just looking at the clothes." Morgan flipped the catalog open again, scanning the women's fashion spread. "These clothes?" A nod. "They're nice. I like this yellow one." "I do too." The words hung in the air between them. Riley stared at the floor, heart hammering against ribs, waiting for laughter or disgust or confusion. Morgan was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was gentle. "Have you ever wanted to try something like that on?" The question unlocked something. Words tumbled out, unstoppable now that the door had been cracked open. "All the time. Since forever. But I wouldn't know where to start or how to. It's not like I can just walk into a store and..." "Why not?" Riley looked up, confused. "What?" Morgan shrugged, casual as if discussing lunch options. "Why can't you? I mean, maybe not alone the first time if you're nervous, but I could go with you." "You'd do that?" "Of course. What are friends for?" She stood up and grabbed her purse. "In fact, let's go now." "Now? But I'm not ready?" "You'll never feel completely ready, Riley. Sometimes you just have to jump." The mall was crowded for a Tuesday afternoon. Riley trailed behind Morgan, pulse racing with each step toward the women's section of the department store. "What about this?" Morgan held up a blue blouse. Riley shook his head. "Too business casual." "Okay, what are you looking for then? What's been in your head?" The words stuck in his throat.
"It's okay,"
Morgan said.
"Just tell me what you like."
"That." Riley pointed to a display mannequin wearing a simple yellow sundress, similar to the one from the catalog. Morgan smiled.
"Good choice. Let's find your size."
The changing room felt like both sanctuary and interrogation chamber. Riley stood frozen, the yellow fabric draped over his arm, staring at his reflection.
"You okay in there?"
Morgan called from outside.
"I don't know if I can do this." "Try it on. Just for you. No one else has to see if you don't want."
With trembling fingers, Riley undressed and slipped the sundress over his head. The fabric settled against his skin, light and airy. He turned slowly, watching the hem sway around his knees. For the first time, The reflection showed someone familiar. Not the person the world saw, but the person who had always existed underneath.
"How does it look?"
Morgan asked. Riley opened the door a crack. I think I like it." Morgan's eyes widened, and for a terrifying moment, Riley prepared for rejection. Instead, she broke into a wide smile. "Riley, it's perfect. The color works so well with your skin tone and brown hair. You look amazing." The next hour passed in a blur. Morgan helped pick out white sneakers that wouldn't make Riley too tall, a simple necklace, and a cardigan for cooler evenings. At the register, the cashier smiled and said, "Great choices. That dress is one of my favorites this season." Walking out with shopping bags felt both ordinary and revolutionary. "What now?" Riley asked, clutching the purchases.
"Now we go home," Morgan said. "And you decide what comes next. No pressure, no timeline. This is your journey."
That night, alone in the bedroom, Riley tried everything on again. The yellow sundress, the white sneakers, the delicate silver necklace. The feeling was electric. Recognition, relief, revelation. This wasn't about clothes. It never had been. In that quiet moment, facing the mirror with clarity instead of confusion, Riley whispered a new name into existence. "Nyla." The name felt right on her lips. A name she'd been carrying inside, waiting for the moment to claim it. 3 months later, Nyla sat across from Dr. Rosenberg, explaining her decision to begin hormone therapy. "I've known for a long time," she said, her voice stronger now after weeks of practice finding its new register. "But I never had the language for it, or the courage, not until recently." Dr. Rosenberg nodded. "Many people describe similar experiences. What changed for you?" Nyla smiled, thinking of that yellow sundress hanging in her closet. "I stopped trying to be invisible. I let myself be seen, first by a friend, then by myself." The transition process wasn't easy. Some days were filled with dysphoria so intense Nyla could barely leave her apartment. Some friends drifted away, uncomfortable with the change they couldn't understand. Her parents needed time. Her mother came around more quickly than her father, but both were trying in their imperfect ways. Morgan remained steadfast, helping Nyla navigate everything from hormone side effects to building a new wardrobe. "I don't think I need anything super feminine or flashy," Nyla explained, as they browsed through another store 6 months into her transition. Her body was changing slowly, softening in some places, curves beginning to develop. "Just practical things that feel like me." "What about this?" Morgan held up a denim skirt. Nyla touched the fabric. "I like it. Casual, but definitely feminine." They added the skirt to their growing collection. Graphic tees in softer cuts, comfortable shoes that didn't scream trying too hard, cardigans, and light jackets that complemented her developing figure. "What about this?" Morgan held up a men's button-down shirt, similar to one Riley used to wear constantly. Nyla shook her head immediately. "No, I don't miss any of it. Not even for practical reasons. Those clothes never felt like mine." She ran her hand over the denim skirt. "These do." 1 year after that first shopping trip, Nyla stood in front of the mirror in her new apartment. Her brown hair had grown out past her shoulders, framing a face that looked more like herself every day. She smoothed the yellow sundress, the same one from that first day, now a little loose in some places, a little tight in others, but too precious to ever discard. Her phone buzzed with a text from Morgan. "Ready for your party?" Today marked 1 year on hormone therapy, 1 year of being Nyla publicly, 1 year of building a life that finally felt authentic. "On my way," she typed back, slipping on her white sneakers, newer versions of the ones she'd bought that first day. As she locked her apartment door, the neighbor from across the hall waved. "Cute dress! Yellow's definitely your color." "Thanks," Nyla replied, the compliment settling comfortably. "I've always thought so too." At the small celebration gathered in Morgan's backyard, surrounded by the friends who had stuck by her and new ones who had only ever known her as Nyla, she raised a glass of champagne.
"To finding yourself,"
Morgan toasted.
"even when you didn't know you were lost."
Nyla smiled, feeling the sunlight warm on her skin and the yellow fabric soft against her legs. "And to the people who help light the way home." Later that evening, as the gathering wound down, Nyla found herself sitting alone with Carlos, a friend of Morgan's she'd met a few times before. He had kind eyes and a quiet way of listening that made conversation easy.
"Morgan told me a little about your journey,"
he said. "Hope that's okay." "It's fine. I'm pretty open about it these days."
"That takes courage."
Nyla shrugged. "Less courage than living inauthentically. That was exhausting."
Carlos nodded. "I get that. Different context, but I understand the exhaustion of hiding parts of yourself."
They talked until the sky darkened and stars appeared. When he asked if he could see her again, just the two of them, Nyla felt a flutter of both excitement and anxiety. "I'd like that," she said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. Dating as a trans woman wasn't something Nyla had given much thought to. Her focus had been on her own transition, her career as a graphic designer, building her new life piece by piece. Their first date was casual, coffee at a bookstore cafe. Nyla wore her comfortable denim skirt and a soft green t-shirt with a graphic design she'd created herself. Her brown hair swept into a simple ponytail.
"I was nervous about today,"
Carlos admitted over their drinks. "Why?"
"I wanted to make sure I didn't say the wrong thing. I've never dated a trans woman before."
Nyla appreciated his honesty. "I've never dated anyone as a woman before, so we're both figuring it out." That made him laugh, breaking the tension.
"Fair point."
As weeks turned into months, their relationship deepened. Carlos was patient and respectful, never pushing beyond Nyla's comfort level.
When intimacy questions arose, they talked through them with candor and care.
"You know what I love most about you?"
Carlos asked one evening as they walked through the park, hand in hand.
"My sparkling wit? My impressive collection of graphic tees?"
He smiled.
"Your authenticity. You know who you are. That's rare."
Nyla squeezed his hand. "It didn't happen overnight, and I'm still figuring things out."
"Aren't we all?" 2 years into her transition, Nyla received an unexpected email from her undergraduate school's alumni association. They were planning a 5-year reunion and wanted her to attend as part of the graphic design program's showcase of successful graduates. She stared at the screen, conflicted. Many people there would remember Riley. Would they accept Nyla?
"You should go,"
Morgan said when Nyla called to discuss it.
"Show them the amazing woman you've become."
"What if it's uncomfortable? What if people say things?"
"Then I'll be there to tell them where to stick their opinions."
"But Nyla, you deserve to celebrate your success just like everyone else." The night of the reunion, Nyla stood in front of her closet, deliberating. Carlos sat on the bed, watching her with amusement. The yellow sundress, he suggested. It's your good luck charm, right?
Nyla shook her head. That was the beginning. This is, I don't know, another milestone. She pulled out a navy blue dress with a subtle pattern, professional but distinctly feminine. This feels right. When they arrived at the reception hall, Nyla took a deep breath before entering. Morgan and Carlos flanked her like protective bookends. Nyla! Professor Jenkins from the design department approached immediately. So glad you could make it. We've been following your work at Apex Designs. Impressive portfolio. Thank you, Professor. It means a lot coming from you. As the evening progressed, Nyla relaxed. Some former classmates were obviously surprised, but most were respectful. A few didn't recognize her at all until she mentioned projects they'd worked on together. Riley? A voice behind her asked at the dessert table. Nyla turned to face Todd Miller, once the star quarterback and casual tormentor of anyone he deemed different. It's Nyla now, she said quietly, preparing for the worst. Todd was silent for a moment.
You look happy.
Not what she expected. I am. Good. He nodded awkwardly. That's good. I, saw that design campaign you did for the Children's Hospital. Really great work. Thanks. He shifted his weight. Look, I was a jerk in college. To a lot of people. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry if I ever made things harder for you. Nyla blinked, surprised by the sincere apology. Thank you for saying that. As Todd walked away, Carlos appeared at her side.
Everything okay?
Yeah, Nyla said, realizing it was true. Everything's actually pretty great. Later that night, as they prepared for bed in their hotel room, Nyla caught Carlos watching her remove her makeup. What? She asked, meeting his eyes in the mirror. I'm proud of you. Tonight couldn't have been easy. She smiled, setting down her makeup remover. You know what? It was easier than I expected. 5 years ago, I couldn't have imagined being here like this, standing in my truth without apology. Carlos wrapped his arms around her from behind.
You've built an amazing life, Nyla.
We've built an amazing life, she corrected, leaning back against him. 3 years after beginning her transition, Nyla received a call from her mother that her father had suffered a minor heart attack. He's going to be okay, her mom assured her. But he's asking for you. The drive to her childhood home was tense. Despite improving relations with her parents, there remained an unspoken distance, especially with her father, who had struggled the most with her transition. When she arrived at the hospital, her mother embraced her tightly.
You look beautiful, honey. I love that purple blouse on you.
Her father's room was dim and quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. He looked smaller somehow, vulnerable in the hospital bed. Dad? Nyla approached cautiously. His eyes opened, focusing on her with effort.
You came.
Of course I came. They sat in awkward silence before he finally spoke. I found a box of your old things in the attic. Baseball trophies, model airplanes. His voice trailed off. Nyla tensed, preparing for the familiar argument about the son he'd lost. I was going to ask if you wanted them, he continued. But then I realized that wouldn't be fair to you, would it? Holding on to those things because I can't let go of who I thought you were supposed to be. Tears welled in Nyla's eyes. Dad, I'm trying, Nyla. I'm not perfect at it, but seeing you now, you look happy, truly happy,
And that's what matters, isn't it? She took his hand, feeling decades of tension begin to unravel. Yes, that's exactly what matters.
When her father was released from the hospital, Nyla stayed for a week to help out. One afternoon, while her mother was napping, her father gestured for her to follow him to the garage.
There's something I want to show you.
He pulled out an old photo album she'd never seen before. Inside were black and white photos of a young woman with a familiar smile.
This was my Aunt Elizabeth, my father's sister.
He pointed to various photos.
She lived as Edward until she was almost 30. Back then, in the 1950s, it was... Well, you can imagine. The family rarely spoke of her.
Nyla stared at the photos in disbelief. I never knew.
Neither did I, until after my father died. Found these pictures and letters explaining everything.
He closed the album gently.
When you told us about your transition, I was shocked, confused. But I should have remembered Aunt Elizabeth. How much happier she looked in the later photos.
He placed the album in Nyla's hands.
I want you to have this. Maybe it will help you feel less alone in our family history.
That album became one of Nyla's most treasured possessions, a bridge between past and present, a reminder that her journey, while uniquely hers, was part of a longer human story of becoming. 4 years into her transition, Nyla's career was flourishing. Her design work had earned industry recognition, and she'd started a small side business, creating transition-related artwork that was resonating deeply within the community.
We should move in together,
Carlos suggested one evening as they walked through an art fair where Nyla was exhibiting some of her work. She smiled, brown hair catching the late afternoon sunlight. Are you sure you're ready for my complete wardrobe to invade your closet space?
I've been ready for that since our third date.
Their new apartment was spacious by city standards, with large windows that flooded the rooms with natural light, perfect for Nyla's home office where she worked on her growing freelance business. Unpacking her clothes into their shared closet became an unexpected emotional moment. Hanging her carefully curated collection next to Carlos's things, the physical manifestation of their lives merging, brought tears to her eyes.
What's wrong?
Carlos asked, finding her sitting on the floor, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. Nothing's wrong, she assured him, wiping away tears. I'm just happy. 4 years ago, I couldn't imagine this life. Couldn't imagine feeling so right in my skin, in my clothes, in my relationship. He sat beside her, picking up one of her favorite graphic tees. Remember when you spilled coffee all over this at that outdoor concert? She laughed. And you gave me your jacket to wear for the rest of the day because I was so upset about the stain.
It looked better on you anyway.
They continued unpacking, trading stories attached to various items. The denim skirt she'd worn on their first real date, the dress from her company's holiday party where she'd received an industry award, the comfortable yellow sundress that started it all.
You never wear this anymore,
Carlos noted, holding up the yellow dress that had become slightly faded from washing.
It doesn't quite fit right these days,
Nyla admitted. Her body had changed significantly with years of hormone therapy. But I can't bear to get rid of it.
We could frame it,
Carlos suggested.
Like a jersey retirement.
Nyla laughed, but considered the idea. That dress had changed the course of her life. Maybe it deserved a place of honor. 5 years to the day after her first shopping trip with Morgan, Nyla hosted a small dinner party in their new apartment. Morgan was there with her fiancé, along with a few close friends who had been supportive throughout Nyla's journey. I have an announcement, Nyla said as they finished dessert. She looked at Carlos, who nodded encouragingly. I've decided to start my own design agency, focusing specifically on inclusive branding and messaging, and I've already secured my first 3 clients. The table erupted in cheers and congratulations. That's not all, Carlos added, reaching for her hand. Tell them the rest. Nyla blushed. We're talking about starting a family. Morgan squealed with delight. You're going to be the most amazing mom! Later, after their guest had left, Nyla and Carlos stood in their bedroom. On the wall hung a shadow box containing the yellow sundress, carefully preserved with a small brass plaque that read, The Beginning of Nyla, 2018. Do you ever miss anything from before? Carlos asked quietly, arms wrapped around her waist. Nyla considered the question seriously. I miss the simplicity of not knowing. Once you realize who you truly are, there's no going back to ignorance. But the actual life? The clothes? The pretending? The disconnection from myself? No, I never missed that. She turned in his arms, brown hair falling over her shoulders. This is who I was always meant to be. 6 years into her transition, Nyla's design agency had grown to a team of 5, with offices in a converted industrial space downtown. Her work had been featured in major publications, and she'd become known for helping brands communicate authentically with diverse audiences. Her personal life was equally fulfilling. She and Carlos had married in a small ceremony in her parents' backyard, her father proudly walking her down the aisle. They were in the process of adoption and had just completed their home study. Morgan remained her closest friend, godmother to Morgan's first child, and chief creative officer at Nyla's agency. Remember when all this started with a yellow sundress? Morgan asked one day as they worked late at the office. Nyla smiled, fingers automatically touching the delicate necklace she wore, a gift from Carlos on their wedding day, a tiny yellow dress charm in gold. How could I forget? You changed my life that day.
No,
Morgan corrected. You changed your life. I just went shopping with you. Well, either way, I'm grateful. As they prepared to leave, Nyla glanced around her office, at the framed magazine features, the photos of her with Carlos, the shadow box containing that first yellow sundress that now hung on her office wall as a reminder of beginnings. Her phone buzzed with a text from Carlos. Great news from the agency! Call me! Nyla's heart raced as she dialed his number. Tell me everything! We've been matched with a birth mother. She liked our profile. She wants to meet us next week. Tears sprang to her eyes. Really? This is happening? It's happening. She's due in 4 months. That night, Nyla stood in front of their home closet, surveying her collection of clothes. What did one wear to meet the woman who might entrust you with her child? Her hand passed over outfit after outfit, eventually settling on a simple but elegant dress in soft blue. Professional, but warm. Authentic. The meeting went better than they could have hoped. The birth mother, Jasmine, was thoughtful and direct. I chose you two because your letter felt real. No false promises, just genuine people who will love this baby. 3 months later, they welcomed their daughter into the world. Looking down at the tiny bundle in her arms, Nyla felt a completeness she hadn't known was possible. What about the name we discussed? Carlos asked softly, watching his wife and daughter with wonder. Nyla nodded. Hope. It fits her. As Hope grew from infant to toddler, Nyla found new joys and challenges in motherhood. Her daughter was curious about everything, including the framed yellow dress that now hung in their living room. What's that? 3-year-old Hope asked one day, pointing to the shadow box. "That's a very special dress," Nyla explained, lifting her daughter for a better look. "It's the dress that helped Mommy become Mommy." Hope's small fingers touched the glass. "Pretty. Yellow like sunshine." "Yes, exactly like sunshine." When Hope was 5, she came home from kindergarten confused. "Tommy said everyone has a mommy and daddy who made them. But I have you and Daddy, and someone else made me?" Nyla sat with her daughter, finding age-appropriate words. "Families are made in different ways. Some children grow in their mommy's tummy. You grew in Jasmine's tummy, but I'm your mommy because love makes a family, not just whose tummy you grew in." Hope considered this. "Do you have pictures of when I was in Jasmine's tummy?" "We do, and pictures of the day you were born. Would you like to see them?" As they looked through the album together, Hope stopped at a photo of Nyla holding newborn Hope, tears streaming down her face. "You were crying, Mommy." "Those were happy tears, the happiest tears ever. Because you got me, because I got you." That night, after tucking Hope into bed, Nyla found Carlos in their bedroom folding laundry, her comfortable cotton pajamas, his workout clothes, Hope's tiny dresses and leggings. "She asked about Jasmine today," Nyla said, joining him in the folding. "What did you tell her?" "The truth, as much as she can understand at 5. Carlos nodded.
She'll have more questions as she gets older.
"About Jasmine, about my transition, about why her family looks different from some others." Nyla placed a stack of Hope's t-shirts in the drawer. "But we'll keep telling her the truth. That's what matters." As their daughter grew, so did Neela's business. By the time Hope was 8, the agency had expanded to 20 employees and opened a second office on the West Coast. Carlos had shifted to working part-time as a consultant so he could be more present for Hope's after-school activities. "Mom!" Hope called, running into Nyla's home office one afternoon. "Can I wear your yellow dress for the school play? We're doing a thing about important objects in our family history." Nyla looked up from her computer. "The one in the frame? Honey, that's pretty special, and I'm not sure it would fit you." "Not to actually wear, just to hold. I want to tell the class about it, about how it helped you become you." Pride swelled in Nyla's chest. "Of course you can. We'll take it out of the frame together." The night of the play, Nyla and Carlos sat in the elementary school auditorium, watching as each child presented their family artifact. When Hope's turn came, she walked confidently to center stage, carefully holding the yellow sundress. "This is my mom's first dress," she announced to the audience. "She got it when she decided to be her real self. Before she got this dress, people thought she was someone else. But this dress helped her show everyone who she really was inside." Hope looked directly at her parents. "My mom says clothes don't make you who you are, but they can help you show the world who you've always been." Tears rolled down Nyla's cheeks as she squeezed Carlos's hand. Her daughter, in her simple, profound way, had captured the essence of Nyla's journey. After the performance, as families mingled in the school cafeteria, Hope's teacher approached them. "That was quite a presentation," she said. "Hope has such confidence discussing complex topics." "We believe in honest, age-appropriate conversations," Nyla explained. The teacher nodded. "It shows. She's remarkably empathetic with her classmates. You should be proud." As they walked to the car, Hope skipping ahead with the carefully folded yellow dress, Carlos put his arm around Nyla. She's right, you know. We should be proud. Of Hope, of our family, of everything we've built. Nyla watched her daughter, this miraculous person who saw the world with such clarity and acceptance. I am proud, more than I could ever express. At home, as they prepared for bed, Nyla carefully returned the yellow sundress to its frame. The fabric had faded slightly over the years, but its significance had only grown.
Do you think she'll understand more as she gets older? Carlos asked. About everything you went through to become yourself?
Nyla hung the frame back on the wall.
I think she already understands the most important part. That being true to yourself is worth whatever journey it takes to get there.
Looking around their home, at the family photos tracking their years together, the art Hope had created covering the refrigerator, the carefully curated wardrobe that expressed exactly who she was, Nyla felt a deep contentment. The yellow sundress that had once represented such a monumental beginning now seemed like just one step in a much larger story. A story about authenticity and courage, about finding family and building home, about the clothes we wear and the lives we create. A story still being written, every single day.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!